Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adara Live, where I get to feature amazing women in my network doing beautiful work and sharing their light and their passion and their gifts. And today I'm here with Sandy Gerber, who is also a business coach and marketing strategist for myself, and she does it for other companies. So she's a marketing and business and communication strategist, author, and speaker. And I'm so excited to have her today live.
Thank you, Adira. I'm happy to be here.
Tell everybody who maybe hasn't seen your beautiful face before, what got you so excited about marketing and communications in the first place?
Yeah, marketing has been, I say to people, marketing's been in my blood since I was a kid, right? So I was the kid that people came to when I was young and said, Sandy, my parents won't let me go to the party. What do I say to say so that they will say yes, right? So I've been crafting messages since I was young, always trying to find ways to actually influence people through words. And that started in marketing first, right? Getting people to purchase products and working for some of the large companies. Mm-hmm. And then I found as a small business owner, it was really important to start working on communications to sell myself and to sell my business. And that's another whole ball game, right?
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And you have been you've had a few businesses, and now are you focused on working with small business owners now with their communication and marketing?
Yes. So I've worked with lots of large organizations, but then, when my kids were little, I had kind of the Rachel moment, I call it, right? So the Rachel moment, not very proud of it, but it was life defining. It was when my son fell at the cottage one time, and I was an executive, 6-figure. It was all very exciting. But he fell and he reached for my nanny instead of me. And I still get that feeling in my heart every time I think about that. But that's when, you have those defining moments where you say, that's it, life's going to change, and I've really got to refocus and refilter my priorities. Mm-hmm. So I really looked at, at that time I was like, okay, that's it. I'm going to stay at home. I'm not going to work. And anyone that knows me laughs very hard when they hear that, because, I was like alphabetizing soup cans on mat leave, right? Like I need progress. I need to use my brain on creative solutions. And so that was never going to be an option for me. So I went and I opened up shop in my bedroom and literally had the kids draw an in and out sign, and we put it on the door, and Mommy was ready for business. And so that was all great. I mean, I knew how to market. I was doing really well, but what I didn't know how to do was sell. And that's where most small businesses have the hardest time, right? Like we're not comfortable initially. We don't just open our business and know what to say about ourselves, right? And so we struggle there. And I saw that struggle so much in the years I had my agency. And then afterwards, now with my other company, I'm really focused on training and really focused on getting the reach out to corporations on how to improve communications with teams and how to improve leadership and all those kinds of things that tie into communication. And so that, that was the defining moment for me. What changed everything for me in my life. And I find that most small business people, as I said, have difficulty just understanding what to say and where to say it.
So just speaking on that, just briefly, is with me too, when we're working on my communication for my business, it's like I can say the same thing 1,000 different ways, right? Like, how do you settle on your words, and feel really good about them and also want to keep them for a while?
Yeah. It's a great question. And I get it often. So the key to the answer there is what you said. How do I feel? Right. So when we communicate with people, we need to feel comfortable communicating what we're saying. And so it's really not about, does this sound good? Does it sound credible? It's really about just connecting one-on-one with people and making a solid rapport with them, building that rapport. And so the way to do that is, first of all, to feel confident in what you're saying. And, we're all passionate about our businesses. That's why we do what we do. But sometimes we trip on saying what we need to say to people to get them excited and ignited, right? So the key is to really understand, what makes you different? And there's 3 distinctions that we work through. What you do, how you do it, and why you do it. Those 3 things you have to know about your business. We went through this together. Mm-hmm. But once you define those and you have that messaging, then you overlap that with your personality, right? And your personality is so exuberant and so giving and so loving that you want to make sure that those phrases have your tone and manner, so that when people connect with you, they really get a sense, I'm speaking to Adira, she's passionate, she knows what she's doing, and she also has a real connection to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you just made that sound so simple. Everyone's just like, who, what, and my personality, no problem. So what is the first step that someone would say have to take to, clearly feel and confident around their communication? Is that kind of like answering those questions?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what I always say to people, if you're going to communicate, I mean, we're not just talking about business here, right? Because we talk to everybody in all aspects of our life. So I call it the sphere of influence, right? We have ourselves that we talk to, sometimes too much negative talk, right? We have the one-on-one communications that we have with our significant others or the people that matter to us in our life, one-on-one. And that could even be our peers at work and our colleagues. And then we have this team dynamic, right, that we can communicate to teams to help motivate them to move forward or to make decisions. And then we have this leadership way that we communicate to people like this, right? You're leading by presenting interesting speakers to talk to people that will help them with some information. So it's all those avenues we need to look at when we're communicating. And so the first step, I say, is start with yourself. You have to understand what motivates you to communicate to people. And a lot of people, public speaking is the number one fear for people above death, right? So public speaking doesn't mean just getting on a stage. It means stepping up in front of a stranger and having a conversation. That's public speaking. Mm-hmm. So what we need to do first is become really confident with ourselves and understand what drives us, right? I'll talk a little bit about decision drivers, but once you understand what drives us and you're watching for someone else's decision driver, then it's easy to actually build that communication. You lose your fear. You focus on what that person's saying. You're actively listening to that person. And the best thing you can do is ask questions. Like, that's the number one thing. If you're struggling with networking or selling yourself, the best thing that you can do is to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Because what happens is we rush into these situations where we talk to people and we say, oh, hi, how are you? And they say the awful dreaded, what do you do question that everybody hates. Feels like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? The lights flashing on you and you're like, I got to be witty and funny and personable and rock on here. How am I going to do this? So what you need to do is just make sure that you're asking the question first. Ask the question first. And then what I say, collect evidence. Listen to what they're saying. There's certain things that you can hear. You can hear, their learning type. Are they visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Like, are they saying, I see, I hear, I feel in their conversations? Like, you're kinesthetic. You use a lot of words that talk about how you feel and experience things. And so if someone's going to build rapport with Adira, they're going to use those words back, right? And that happens subconsciously. People don't even realize. Mm-hmm. So the key to the first step in feeling comfortable about talking about your business is to first focus on the other person, not yourself. Mm-hmm. Then what happens is you start building rapport. And the next thing would be to understand, like I said before, really like what you do, how you do it, and why you do it, because that's what people want to know.
What, how, and why.
Yeah.
It's so funny how you just know this stuff. So I don't clearly. It's great. And it's funny because when I do go to networking events and people will be like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh God, what am I going to say to you today? I always am like, I'll turn it back and I'll be like, just before we go there, I'll say like, what brought you here? Or like, I try and like, just try to understand who they are first as a person before I cultivate what it is I want to share with them about myself. Right.
Yeah.
Really kind of interesting. So what is, so you were mentioning decision drivers. Tell us a little bit about that communication style.
Okay, so decision drivers is a communication technique that I created and I developed it. So this, as I said, like, I didn't just wake up being good at communications, and everyone in my life can tell you. And also when you're good at something or you study something, that's when you're challenged the most in that, right? So I'm certainly challenged in communications with my teenagers and with people in my life. But so I'm not saying I'm a master at that whatsoever. But what I have done is spent 10 years studying it, right? So when I went into business for myself, as I said, I was a marketer. I wasn't a salesperson. And I'm embarrassed to say I would go into these networking events, because this is what we do, right? We say, oh, I need some sales. I was a single mom. So I'd say, okay, I'm going to go into book all these networking events. So you go and book these networking events. And then what happens is you see this giant room of intimidation, right? Because it's all these people all around these tables, look like they all know each other but you, right? And then you're supposed to walk in and just flawlessly connect with people, right? It's very difficult. So what I would do is I would actually go to the loo, go to the washroom, and spend a few minutes in there lingering around to avoid the fear of going into the networking room. And that's what I was doing like over a decade ago. And then what I would do is slip in to a table, sit down, introduce myself to the 8 people, share cards, walk out with 6 business cards, and feel like that was networking. And that's not networking.
No.
So what I found is I was not going to put up with that for long. I couldn't, actually, as a single mom and the only provider. I needed to actually finance my children and my lifestyle. So what I did is I studied. So I looked at communication techniques, I looked at psychology, I looked at behaviors, and I took what had actually worked with clients in marketing for decades. And I found this theory, the theory of emotional appeal, that was developed by Roy Garn in the 60s. He's like the direct grandfather of direct mail. Anyways, his premise, and what I've evolved it to, is that there's 4 natural considerations that we use to make decisions. And the reason I bring up decisions, people say, what does decisions have to do with sales or networking? When we're talking to someone and we want to influence that, and we want to influence that person, we're actually asking them to make a decision. We're asking them to activate their decision-making process. So they're going to decide whether you're worthy to listen to, or even better, whether they want to act based on what you tell them. So you're actually making them make a decision. And so when we look at what those 4 considerations are that we all use to make decisions, they spell SAVE. So while I'm saying these, try and consider which one you might be. So there's 4, and each of us have one big one. So the first one is safety. So safety is you are motivated to listen. So say someone came up to you, you walk into a conversation and someone's talking, your motivation to listen is if it has to do with, it's easy for you, what they're selling or what they're talking about. It could be easy for you, could improve your health, could be stable, secure, could have to do with your love of your family, those kinds of things. That's what motivates a person with the safety decision driver. An acknowledgement is the next one, and that's basically people who are driven with have the decision driver of acknowledgement. Those people are motivated to listen if what you say request their opinion. They like giving their opinion. It will better their appearance. It will better their belonging. It will better their recognition, right? So these are the people who are lining up for the best of the best kind of thing so that they can show people this is what I have. And all of us have acknowledgement to some degree, but these people are really motivated by their career, the recognition in their career, recognition and impact on others, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And then the third is value. So if you have a decision driver of value, then that means that you are motivated by the return on investment, right? Or the value of your time, right? So if you're considering purchasing something and you're kind of like, well, is it really worth my time? Is it really worth the value I'm spending? Mm-hmm. These people are motivated by earning and saving money and the fear of losing money. And then the last one is experience. And so experience is all me. Experience is all me. But basically, it's the desire for a future promise or for a future experience, right? And it's for progress. Like I need to see progress in a lot of things I do. And so if there's an opportunity to have a new experience or something, I'm quick to jump on that or to pay attention to someone talking about it, right? Mm. So these 4 things, they've been referred to as the love languages for communication. Once you identify what your driver is, and then you identify your partner's, your spouse, or your potential client, customer, and by asking them questions, you can hear that, you can hear the cues, and then you pull your pitch from your pocket and you adapt it to that decision driver and you deliver it. And always, always will you motivate that person to act based on that, because you're actually connecting to someone emotionally. You're not just having this chat, right? Mm-hmm. You're actually connecting to what they need emotionally.
I love it.
Really
The
cool.
languages for communication. And interestingly enough, I think you said this, and let me just be clear. Did you say marketing and sales were two separate arms? You wouldn't necessarily put them together.
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you talk to. If you're in a big corporation, marketing and sales always tend to have a disagreement because they feel that there's a disconnect there. There's two different needs required there. So there's always some kind of struggle. Marketing is really your awareness, right? It's your platform. Marketing is your platform, and communication is what you say about your platform, right? So they do tie into one another, of course. But if you're looking at what is most important for you to figure out first, I always say, and I used to develop these marketing action plans for my clients, thousands and thousands of dollars to tell them, look, this is what you need to say about your business. And then here's where you should spend that, where you should say it. And that's the marketing channels. So if you're starting out new in business or you're struggling with your sales, I always point people to, it's your messaging. You don't know what to say to motivate people to activate decision-making.
I agree. I concur. Okay, so very important to get down to our messaging. So is that happening in your influential communications mastery?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I'm very excited. I do this quarterly, and basically this is the Influential Communications Mastery Program. So what we have is, it's my influential communications course, but it's actually with a layer of accountability now. So I go on the call weekly and I teach the lesson rather than you having to go and do your self-study. I'll teach it, so it accelerates the process. And also I hold you accountable to getting the work done that you need to do. The worksheets need to be completed weekly. And then what happens is, in the third week, you submit your messaging to me and I'll do a full review. So, and you know what, like, we've worked together. Yeah. So basically the messaging that comes back to me, I look at, you've done your homework. Okay, great. And then I'll do a personal review of your messaging so that you walk out of the course 4 weeks later with your marketing copy.
Amazing. So, who is watching right now that would love a scholarship to this amazing course? If you would, say yes, and then also maybe let us know in the comments below why you feel like you are a great candidate for this scholarship. And so it starts May 7th, right, Sandy? The next, and sorry, 2 weeks or 4 weeks?
It's 4 weeks. So it starts May 7th. Every Tuesday we have a call, and then it's available as soon as we get you enrolled. So the person that wins this scholarship, I always ask people to submit applications. So there's 5 spots. So this person's taking one of the spots, and I always give 5 on every session. And so if you're not the lucky winner today, you can also apply just by going to my site, sandygerber.com, and just submit why you think you should receive the scholarship. And that's the deadline for that is April 30th.
Okay, perfect. So you have till April 30th for the scholarship there. And then for mine, this is where you're going to put your comments, and I'm going to pick which person I feel is suitable for the scholarship, because I love to play God. Buddy. Well, Sandy, it's just been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you, Adira. I love spending time with you. You rock. And thank you for all that you do to get the word out for people. You're inspiring.
Thanks so much. And I will send Sandy Gerber's details below, info into the Influential Communications Mastery. And then I think you said I could do it too.
Yes, of course. Of course.
So I'll be there. So that's exciting. We're still hammering down my messaging, but it's there. It's there. It's
so close. Yeah.
Gain the confidence to be able to just declare it and say it, right? And then,
well, the thing is, when you actually, it's so rewarding when you actually have it. It's not a script that you're memorizing, right? It's actually just who you are, right? Mm-hmm. So once it gets really personalized and comfortable, you actually enjoy networking. Like, I love connecting with people because you basically start asking them the questions, you find out their decision driver, and then you just select the phrase that's going to be suitable for that decision driver. So you already have this, like, you feel like you already have this bucket of ammunition in you, really, to just help you connect with people. So you're not even thinking, oh my gosh, what do I need to say? Features, benefits, credibility. You don't think about any of that. You just be yourself, right? And that's why people work with you. People work from people that they like, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you.
all for watching, and you still have a moment or two to add in your comments below, and I will pick a winner for the scholarship. Bye for now.
Bye, thanks.